one of the big breaking news stories, Will, is that Chief Justice John Roberts, he blocked the block, if you will. He paused the order for the Trump administration. Why don't we explain it? Let's go back a little bit and realize how we got to the Supreme Court. And this is the first big moment the Supreme Court has weighed into one of these Trump cost-cutting moments.
That's right. So there was a judge, the district court judge, Amir Ali in Washington, D.C., that had put a TRO in place regarding the Trump spending freeze. So this would cover about $1.9 billion in foreign aid payments.
A temporary restraining order.
Right. So while this, obviously, these cases take time, they have to litigate, but the judge did this up front, saying that they wanted the money to proceed while this was fought in court. Then that judge gave the administration a deadline of 11:59 p.m. Eastern time last night to resume the payments. They quickly went through the appeals process. So from district court to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and then ultimately to the Supreme Court of the United States yesterday, where Chief Justice Roberts issued a stay of that TRO, allowing for the freeze of spending to continue. Normally, you'd think of it as someone wants to spend money, and the courts are saying, wait, you have to go through Congress. They have the power of the purse. This is just not wanting to spend the money. Professor Hutchison and outside groups are trying to force the Trump administration's hand. But as of right now, that money has not gone out. They have not restarted those outflows of cash by that midnight deadline because the Supreme Court, through the Chief Justice, has said you may continue to hold this money while it continues in court.
I think your analysis is perfect. And this is a very, very important decision. First, because this is the first decision since Doge wherein the United States Supreme Court has weighed in, and they have weighed in on behalf of the Trump administration. Now, keep in mind, as you correctly point out, this is a temporary order by Justice Roberts, and more likely than not, the full court will need to weigh in with respect to whether or not this order will be sustained over time. But in the meantime, the American people should be aware of this particular contest. It's a contest between unelected bureaucratic power vis-a-vis the elected representatives of the American people. And so the Democrats have made a huge case during the last election claiming that they favored democracy. Well, if you are focused on democracy, President Trump was elected to do precisely what he is now doing. In other words, he has been elected to cut trans operas in Peru and Colombia, DEI spending in Ireland and Serbia. And so I think this is a very, very important decision.
A lot of people have asked, because they're just unfamiliar with the way the law is structured. A lot of people are asking, how do these judges even have this kind of control where they can make these things happen? If the president of the United States, the elected president of the United States, makes this decision and says this is where the country should be headed, he has executive order power, he has any of these other things, how is it that a judge, what feels sort of like a random person, is able to overrule the president even temporarily?
Well, in part, it's a brilliant question. In part, judges believe that they are empowered to overrule the president because they have a superior moral compass. In other words, their views should prevail. So keep in mind that many of these programs are pushed by progressive elites. Progressive elites do not fully accept the views of average working class people who are doing what? They are electing someone like President Trump. Many judges disapprove of that outcome, and so they feel empowered to intervene. This move goes back something like 60 to 80 years. Right. So if you look at the so-called Cloward Piven thesis, The Cloward-Piven thesis says that we must destroy America in order to save it. And many elites actually accept that, and President Biden has nominated a sufficient number of left-wing judges who believe they can overrule the republic and a democracy.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments rolling in. I think they agree with you. A lot of people still are just confused on how this is even legal.
One of the basic fights here is that if Congress has appropriated discretionary spending, then what many people are saying is that then the executive branch is obligated to spend every penny, even if it's discretionary, not allocated to a specific line item, just maybe, for world hunger relief or for health services abroad or something that's very generic. And then the bureaucracy gets to pick and choose which grants are given, or just federal foreign aid grant money, a big bucket of money that can then be discretionally spent by the bureaucrats. So that's kind of a little bit also to that point where some of the argument is that the people that are bringing this are trying to make it a separation of powers fight between Congress and the president, and therefore the third co-equal branch, the judiciary, would be the arbiter of those issues in that situation. But Professor Hutchison, I want to go back to something you brought up. Was part of the problem is that, Democrats this last election were all about democracy. We've heard them push for change in previous administrations. But in reality, big government, whether Republican or Democrat, have enabled the non-elected, non-constitutional fourth branch of government, the bureaucracy. And what their entire goal has been is that there'd be continuity no matter who was elected, no matter who was in Congress, who was the president. They never actually believed in change. What they wanted was continuity by empowering the bureaucracy to continue spending money to further their political agendas to no end.
I think your analysis is perfect. And in fact, a left-winger made precisely that argument, that the fourth branch of government is designed to protect our democracy by ensuring continuity with respect to policy. But that analysis is exactly backward, because if there is a dispute between Congress and the president, clearly courts, including the United States Supreme Court, should weigh in. But that's not really what's happening. It's the bureaucrats that are weighing in. It's the bureaucrats and their surrogates that are weighing in. They're saying they have a constitutional/legal right to money that was appropriated by Congress. Well, if Congress disagrees with what President Trump is doing, absolutely Congress has the right to go to court and ask an Article 3 judge to resolve this dispute. But that is precisely what is not going on in these cases.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.